Havoc in the Heartland, Episode 1. Wichita State welcomes a familiar foe in Tulsa as the Shockers try to get to 8-0 in the American. Shane Dennis alongside Denny Gehrig here at the Roundhouse. Welcome in. Happy Sunday afternoon to everyone. The Shockers have enjoyed the advantage in the all-time series history, although they haven't met much lately. The Shockers winning 28 out of the 41, but as you see there, they haven't met since 1999. This is one of the few teams that Chris Lamb, close to Wichita, hasn't ever met. Shockers so far, Denning, holding up their end of the bargain in the American.
Yeah, pretty impressive on Friday night against SMU. They kind of beat the Mustangs at their own game. SMU came in with a reputation as one of the Americans' best defensively, and the Shockers were absolutely up to the challenge. Abby
Lehman, in her storied career here at Wichita State, closing in on 1,200 career kills. Her efficiency's been off the charts lately.
Yeah, 20 kills on Friday, one shy of her career high from back in 2015. And that early season slow start from her seems a lifetime ago with the run that she's been on as of late. Lehman has an attack percentage of better than 500 in 5 of her last 6 matches and leads the American in that category. The All-American candidate is making her last season in a Shocker uniform one to remember.
SMU very good at the block and dig game, but the Shockers, as you mentioned, turned the tables. They were digging like crazy Friday night.
Yeah, Chris Lamb had kind of questioned the effort of his back row when it comes to making that tough dig. So this week in practice, he broke out an old drill that kind of forces you to get onto the floor, forces you to get your hands dirty, as it were. And you can see there on the screen, the results speak for themselves. Great balance, 4 players in double-figure digs.
95 digs total, by far a season high for the Shockers. When we come back, we'll take a look at the head coach's starting lineup and throw it in the air. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Wichita State coming off a very big victory against SMU on Friday night, hit 275 in that match. That's pretty much their season average. They come into this one with a 277 attack percentage. Tulsa a little below 200, as you see there, but they were led on Friday night in a victory against Memphis, Denning, by Mariah Pardo. Had very good numbers Friday, including 3 service aces.
Yeah, Pardo does a little bit of everything for Tulsa. She kind of got thrown right into the fire as a freshman last year, and this season has split some time at setter with Lindsay Ledyard, but seems to really be settling in. You can see the numbers she put up on Friday, and last weekend against Central Florida, all she did was notch 42 assists and 16 digs. So a girl who seems to be getting a grasp of this offense at the right time.
One somewhat old, one somewhat new. When you're talking about the head coaches, Chris Lamb in his 18th year at Wichita State, looking for win number 400. And Ryan Wills, a homegrown product in every sense of the word.
Yeah, went to Tulsa as an undergrad, started as an assistant there, then eventually followed Ed Allen to Alabama, but now he's back with the Golden Hurricane. He's in his 4th season and really seems to have this Tulsa program moving in the right direction.
They last made the NCAAs in 2012 and a very respectable 19-13 a year ago for the Golden Hurricane, but they will really have their hands full here today, assuming Wichita State doesn't have an SMU hangover. Chris Lamb doesn't seem like that type of coach to allow that to happen, but still have to produce.
And it seemed like something that we discussed late in that match on Friday. It was just that the possibility of, after a very emotional match, that you come back out on Sunday against an opponent who was picked 9th in the preseason poll, it'd be easy to kind of slip up. But like you said, Coach Lamb doesn't seem like the kind of guy to allow that to happen.
So here we go. The Shockers trying to remain the Americans' lone unbeaten. Shockers with the black on black against the Hurricane white on black. And first point goes Wichita State's way. They finished up that match on Friday night about as high as you could possibly be as far as efficiency and putting together an entire game. The last two sets were really impressive what the Shockers did.
Yeah, just firing on all cylinders, getting every offensive weapon involved. And this time, instead of Abby Lehman getting the first kill, was Emma Wright in the middle, the freshman.
Kayla Raudsep with a bullet. That was dug out by Taylor Horsfall. She had 26 digs Friday night against Memphis. And a block by the Hurricane knots it up at 1.
It's not something that Tulsa's necessarily known for. They're 10th in the American in blocks. Don't have a whole lot of height in the middle, but nice job turning aside Kuhn there on the far side.
And there's Horsfall gonna do the service honors. Much like SMU, and the Shockers will take that service there, much like SMU Denning, a kind of a young team. Not many seniors on this club. As we saw Horsfall with the service error, she's only a sophomore. There's a handful of freshmen to get quite a bit of playing time for the Golden Hurricane too.
And it's youth at positions that are important. You've got Ledyard as a freshman, Pardo as a sophomore. Those two are the setters and kind of asked to quarterback the offense.
An overpass at the net goes the way of the Hurricane, so knotted up again at 2.
Callie Cook putting that one away for the Golden Hurricane. As you mentioned, just a freshman from San Antonio, Texas, who has been pretty efficient in some fairly limited opportunities so far this year.
And that overpass benefited Wichita State as Emily Hebert tight to the net, but she's good at that. We've seen her do that quite a bit.
Yeah, watch how she redirects this ball. Kind of a blind backwards tap into some empty court. Very impressive.
Tried at least once on Friday night to flip that back to the Shocker floor and got caught for a violation, so she just put the kill away herself there. Shockers with 2 in a row. Abby Lehman has exactly 2 attack errors in her last 2 games. That's amazing. You can't do that with nobody on the other side.
Her calling card has always been efficient, but she has just taken it to a completely different level as of late.
Off the block, there's Chivita, and up to the task was the Golden Hurricane on the attack by Abby Lehman.
That was Emily Hubbard who eventually put it away for Tulsa. Another freshman, that one from San Diego, California. So Tulsa goes way outside of their recruiting footprint to grab her. Very excited about her combination of size and skill.
Hubbard, the second most kills on the club. And Emily Hebert strikes again.
That time the Golden Hurricane were actually in the right place at the right time to dig out the initial effort, but then everyone kind of scrambled away from the volleyball and it found some empty floor.
Emily, 44 assists, 12 digs in that big win over SMU Friday night. And a nice setup by Mariah Pardo. We featured her in the open. Callie Cook with the kill. She's third best on the team in kills. She had 9 against Memphis.
And as I mentioned, pretty efficient. 8th in the American with a .305 hitting percentage entering play today.
Big swing off the right from Alex Kuhn. And off a Shocker hand and down to the corner it goes. So 2 in a row by the Hurricane.
And the first time we've gotten to mention Emily Thorson, who leads the American with 305 kills coming into play today. She is the definition of a high volume hitter, has 400 more attacks than anyone else on the team.
Point Shockers, the last serve by the Hurricane was courtesy of Lindsay Ledyard, who at different times this year has been their primary setter, but at other times, Coach Wells has totally gone away from her, statistically anyway.
Yeah, they've split time between Ledyard and Pardo at the setter position, just trying to find the right combination of things to get their attackers involved.
Off the slide, that'll be Point Shockers on the attack by Ebony Carter. So back and forth we continue. Actually, that was a Point Hurricane, which will tie it up. Point Shockers, and a nice swing that time by Emma Wright.
Wright kind of considered to be the heir apparent to Abby Lehman when Lehman moves on next season. Wright, just a redshirt freshman, and has played well in stretches for Wichita State this season.
She had 3 kills Friday night. Hannah Shelton to serve for the Shockers. And that was poorly handled by Tulsa. So that'll be an ace for Hannah Shelton. She had a season-high 17 digs against SMU. We showed you the graphic in the open about how everybody got into the act. And if you joined us just a little bit late, I think it's fair to say, Denning, that when it comes to digging balls, Chris Lamb went back to the drawing board, didn't he?
Yeah, brought out the old school drill. The range ball drill is what he called it, where you just kind of spray balls at people, force them to get onto the deck. Unfortunately, everyone goes onto the deck, and no one can keep the ball in play there.
I think that's maybe the football version of bull in the ring. You know, if you're not blocking or tackling correctly, all right, we're going to put you through the meat grinder. You know, you're not digging balls like I want you to, you're all going to get on the floor. And they certainly responded. 95 digs the Shockers had Friday.
Yeah, he had said that it wasn't a technique issue by any means. It was just purely effort. And he was wanting his back row and everyone to kind of just put forth a little bit more effort as far as keeping balls in play.
Shockers forged back ahead by a couple once again. And Emma Wright gets back in the act again. Well, Shockers can get you from a lot of different angles, a lot of different people get involved. And it's all keyed by Emily Hebert in the middle. And Hebert with a heads-up play there. Roudsepp tips it across. And a little finesse by Abby Lehman.
And that point's an excellent example of something that Chris Lamb has talked about all year, and that's the ability to turn ugly rallies into wins. Nothing about that looked particularly clean, but ultimately it was the chemistry between Hebert and Lehman that got a decent enough swing to get the point.
Quite a dig there. Lehman almost turned that into another kill. Great one-arm dig by Taylor Horsfall and Point Hurricanes. So just when it looked like Shockers might go on a little bit of a streak there and run away and hide from Tulsa, they get a badly needed point right there.
Horsfall has made a couple of pretty impressive digs so far. She leads the American in total digs and digs per set coming in.
Right on the tape, it would appear. A couple of Shockers were convinced that serve would be wide, but Horsfall gets it to fall in. Sophomore from Houston. Chivita can't quite keep it alive, and here comes Tulsa again. They're showing some spunk here in the first set.
Before we go away completely from Horsfall, let's talk about the weekend she had last weekend when she first set a school record with 44 digs against Central Florida on Friday, then followed it up with 39 more against South Florida. That's the first and third most digs all time in a single match.
Rare attack error by Wichita State. And Tulsa with its first lead of the match.
Don't see that very often from Alex Kuhn. She's typically about as sound as they come and at least putting the ball in play.
Big swing there by Michaela Roudsepp, and that one just deep. So the Shockers get a point back, point side out as they knot it up at 11.
Tulsa trying to get Thorson involved from the back row here. And good job by Hannah Shelton sliding over to that back left position. Thorson didn't have a whole lot of room to work with.
Thorson had 12 kills against Memphis, but only hit .043. 2 in a row by Wichita State gives them a tight lead.
Hebert and Lehman teaming up on the block there.
Alex Kuhn to serve for the Shockers. And that one just deep. So a couple of attack errors that have gone just a little too far past the tape benefits Wichita State, and I think Thorson did both of them. She's leader in kills on this club, but she's misfired twice now within the last couple of minutes.
Now Memphis kind of took her away on Friday. They forced her into 10 attack errors, so she's trying to bounce back.
And Shockers return the favor with an attack error off the right hand of Michaela Raudsep, senior from Oregon.
Well, if you'll remember, Raudsep got off to such a slow start on Friday. In the middle of the second set, she only had 1 kill and 3 total attacks, and eventually turned it on late to kind of spark that Shocker rally.
Yeah, and she was really quiet last weekend, too, against Tulane and Houston, but ended up with 8 kills Friday. Hebert with the kill. So the Shockers have not trailed so far here in set 1, but Tulsa not going away, and Wichita State continuing to look for that little run to give themselves a little breathing room, and that'll help.
Hebert continues to be incredibly efficient, hitting 1,000 already in this first set to go along with her 6 assists.
Pardo tried to take a page out of Emily Hebert's book, but no avail. The Shockers were ready for it. Well, we got a timeout. Shockers forging in front 15-12. You're watching Wichita State on WSU TV.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
I don't know that stagnant would be the correct word, Denning, to describe the start for Wichita State, but only 3 attack errors, and I think that's probably the thing you take away from this one, in which on paper Wichita State would be a heavy favorite.
Yeah, just a little bit up and down, I think, to get things going. The Shockers jumped out to that early lead, but Tulsa showed a little bit of resiliency, and most importantly, I think for the Golden Hurricanes, they were able to get good swings from their most valuable offensive assets, and that's Thorson, and then including a couple of others like Hebert and Koch.
Shockers top 10 in the nation in attendance, and certainly not hurt by Friday night's turnout. Over 3,600 strong to see the Shockers beat SMU. Good crowd.
That was quite the atmosphere. That place was rocking from the opening ball in the air.
The Shockers go into the media timeout leading by 3. They have not trailed so far. Tulsa forging a tie at 10. But the Shockers, after a ball handling error, give a point back to Tulsa at 15-13 here in the early going. Glad you could join us here on WSU TV. And a service error gives the Shockers a side out and a point. Emily Hubbard, the freshman from San Diego, as Denning pointed out. Callie Cook, who's 3rd on this team in kills, she's also a freshman. Lindsay Ledyard, the setter, a freshman from Cedar Park, Texas. So plenty of stuff to look forward to in the future for Tulsa, and they want to take a timeout right now. So they want to squelch this rally for Wichita State right where it is. I know you'll be planning ahead, Denning, to get some spooky good ideas and deals from the Shocker gear at the University Bookstore. The Spooktacular patio sale will be held on Wednesday the 25th, and on Thursday the 26th. It'll be from 10 to 2 at the Radigan Student Center's North Patio. So if you're in need of some new Shocker gear, here's your chance to get some spooky good deals at the University Bookstore. So the Shockers leading 17-13 over Tulsa. Again, in case you joined us late, Tulsa defeated Memphis in 4 sets on Friday. They are 9-10 overall and 3-4 in the conference. They had their moments too Friday night, Denning. They hit 500 in that second set against the Tigers. So I'm sure Chris Lamb, in the interim between Friday and now, they don't sleep on the Hurricane.
Yeah, it was pretty comparable to Wichita State's Friday match. They dropped the first set, and then the offense absolutely got going in a big way. A name we haven't called a whole lot yet, Rachel Moore, delivered some big-time kills in that second set to kind of spark the rally. So the Golden Hurricane are certainly capable, and we'll just have to see if the Shockers can keep the foot on the throat.
Yeah, Rachel Moore on Friday hit 429, junior from Oklahoma City. So they do have some weapons, but so far the Shockers have held them under wraps. They're hitting 231 at the moment. Tulsa is. Shockers out hitting them. And they're benefiting from more and more of those, Denning. Some misfires from the net.
That's 3 now from Thorson, and they've all been long. Just having to adjust the sights a little bit.
And Denning touched on it. Memphis really made her work Friday night. Her hitting percentage was just .043. The service error for the Shockers gives a point back to Tulsa as they stay within shouting distance of the Shockers. First meeting between these two since 1999. Chris Lamb has never coached against Tulsa. Kind of hard to believe. And kind of off the side of Tabitha Brown's hand. She's been kind of quiet here in the first set.
Yeah, clearly did not catch that one cleanly, but when she does, you'll typically know it.
Makes a distinct sound
it does.
off of her hand. So Tulsa to serve. And that's point Shockers as Emily Hebert finds the Tulsa floor. WSU on the season, Denning, top 20 in the nation in hitting percentage of that 277, that graphic we showed you at the very top.
I can't imagine how frustrating that is for opponents to know that Emily Hebert is that skilled and able to pull off that move so often. You're ready for it, and she still makes it work. Looks like they got a touch there.
Yeah, Wichita State can't quite put Tulsa away here in the first set, but they've been in tenuous command from the beginning. And the Hurricane inched a little closer, 19-17 now. That's Mariah Pardo. We highlighted her in the Open. She's just a sophomore. One of many underclassmen for this Tulsa bunch. And an overpass, and Shockers getting a little sloppy here in the last couple of points, Denny.
This was 19-15. Wichita State had a chance to put this one to bed, but some self-imposed errors, and just like that, it's a one-point set.
And Chris Lamb wants to talk about it. So Shockers in the lead, but only by 1. We'll be back right after this. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Shockers kind of spreading the wealth so far, although they haven't been able to quite put away Tulsa just yet. Emily Hebert with 1,000 attack percentage in her 4 swings. Likewise, Emma Wright with her 3. Abby Lehman, 3 kills. So it's kind of more of the same for Wichita State, but Tulsa hanging right in there. They're showing some mettle.
Only 1 kill from Wichita State outside hitters so far. Lehman, of course, in the middle. Emma Wright as well, and then Emily Hebert, the setter. So Shockers looking for something on the outside.
The Shockers, again, have not trailed here in this set, but having a little bit of trouble with a spunky Tulsa bunch, and that attack error gives the Shockers a little bit more room there, leading by 2.
Wichita State probably should feel fortunate that they're even winning this with how poorly that Thorson has played in this first set. She's still hitting -200 with 4 attack errors.
Yikes. Service error by Hannah Shelton gives some new life back to Tulsa once again. Thorson to serve. Junior from the Woodlands, Texas. And a big swing on the right side from Alex Kuhn.
Good to see her getting involved. She played well in spurts on Friday, and here got a good swing as the block was a little bit late sliding over.
Kuhn had 7 kills against the Mustangs. Alex had a tremendous match against Tulane University last weekend. There's Rachel Moore. You mentioned her earlier, Denning. Junior puts that one away.
She's raised her attack percentage in each of the last 5 matches, so she's been playing well as of late.
4th on the team in kills, Rachel Moore. That almost worked out for Wichita State. Ryan Wills, the coach for Tulsa, wanted to lift, but ends up benefiting Tulsa as they put it away. Moore with another kill, and they have tied it up again.
And she was in a fairly good position to dig that ball out. Just elected not to go after it.
Boy, without the very, very good start to the set, this looks eerily similar to the first set on Friday night, where the Shockers were really never challenged until late. And now Tulsa has taken its first lead of the set. So we'll see if the Shockers can side out here from the rest of the way. But as we mentioned, the Shockers just haven't been able to do quite enough to get any breathing room between themselves and the Hurricane.
You know, Shane, we've seen similar stuff to this twice before. Not only the SMU match on Friday, like you mentioned, but also earlier in the season against Central Florida when the Shockers dropped the first set and just kind of looked like they were sleepwalking through it a little bit. So sometimes it takes them getting punched in the mouth a little bit early in set 1 to get going.
Well, the Ulrich Museum of Art will feature Rodney McMillan in an artist talk Tuesday, October the 17th. There you see the reception and program locations. McMillan's artistic practice utilizes performance, video, installation, sculpture, and painting to tackle issues of race, gender, and power within social history and culture. So the artist talk begins at 6:15. It's in the Campus Activities Center Theater. So Wichita State has its work cut out for it right now. There you see part of the crowd here this Sunday afternoon for the first installment of Havoc in the Heartland. It's kind of strange that it's taken these two teams to get into a brand new conference to play one another, but that's where we're at.
You would think that this would be a pretty easy non-conference match to set up.
So back to action we go. The Shockers trying to answer, and there's a good start. Abby Lehman, and you have a feeling that maybe Chris Lamb drew that one up over there in the huddle.
Yeah, and look who was on the receiving end with the dig. That's Jenny Whitledge, who had not played in almost a month. The senior coming off a bad knee injury last year, making an instant contribution.
Rodsep off a hand. Nice job by Horsfall to keep it alive. Block Shockers, point Shockers. Now they forge ahead by 1.
And it was Hebert and Lehman teaming up again. I think Lehman got the lion's share of that one, but straight down.
Now Kuhn to serve for Wichita State. Big swing off the right side. There's Rachel Moore once again. Again, she is not their top attacker statistically speaking, but she's come up big here in the first set.
Oh, and they've needed points. They've gone to her late.
So now it's a race to 25. And that helps Wichita State. We haven't seen that much here in the first set, but boy, that was not the time to drive one into the net and see if Wichita State can take advantage. Ashton Anderson with the service error. Tulsa's going to call a timeout. Ryan Wills is going to try to pull a rabbit out of the hat here and steal this one. We'll be back for the final point, hopefully for Wichita State. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Back and forth, first set, no question about it. Shane Dennis, Denning Gehrig, as the Shockers trying to stay unbeaten in the American. 7-0, their conference record, but this is kind of a recurring theme, Denning. A team coming in here absolutely ready to play. You got to credit Tulsa for that, but the Shockers trying to withstand that energy that the Golden Hurricane have come out with, and one more to get and they'll have survived, but it'll have to wait. Serving for set point, the Shockers couldn't quite get it.
Just some missed timing here on the set between Hebert and Lehman, as Lehman barely got it off the fingertips, and Tulsa was right there set up for the block.
Callie Koch did the honors. Freshman from San Antonio. The middle put it away for the Hurricane.
They have gifted Wichita
really
State
have.
a couple of big points to give them opportunities to put this away. Let's see if the Shockers want to accept, or are they going to re-gift?
Here comes Kara Bound. She served the last 3 or 4 points in one of the sets that Wichita State won over SMU. See if she can do it again. Talk about coming in cold off the bench. No pressure. That one may have been headed out, but Kuhn wasn't taking any chances. And there she is again. And the Shockers win that battle at the net and outlast Tulsa here in the first set. They had to earn it, but Wichita State gets a 26-24 victory in the first set, and apparently Ashton Anderson got in the net a little bit.
I think it may have been Callie Cook, but yes.
So the Shockers survive. We'll come back with set 2 right after this on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Well, in a set, Denning, where you win by 2 and have to go to extras to get it, there are a few things that stick out from the first set. 6 attack errors for Tulsa, 4 service errors. You mentioned it late in the first set. Shockers got a few gifts. I'd say those 2 qualify right there.
And it seemed like every one of those service errors was right after Tulsa had grabbed some momentum. They had pulled even at one point late in the 20s and had an opportunity to kind of establish control, but ultimately back-to-back service errors gave Wichita State an opportunity, and eventually the Shockers put it away.
And the Shockers out-digging Tulsa as well, 16-10. So that digging drill that Coach Lamb had the girls go through certainly paying off after 95 digs on Friday night, 16 more in a victorious first set.
Yeah, they continue to limit the offensive swings from Tulsa. The Golden Hurricane came in 8th in the American in hitting percentage, so 211, really not that bad, all things considered, but it just seems like when you take away Thorson that there's not a whole lot of weapons that the Golden Hurricanes can turn to.
Emily Hubbard took 9 swings and Thorson 11, while no Shocker had more than 7. We've come accustomed to that. 5 Shockers had 4 swings or more. And Tabitha Brown, who had been not only really efficient, but leading the Shockers in kills, wasn't asked to do much in the first set.
No, not even really in there as a decoy much. She didn't spend a whole lot of time on the floor in that first set at all, with just the 3 total attacks and 1 kill. So the Shockers may be waiting for a time to deploy her later, but for the time being, was not asked to do much.
So the teams switch ends, and Wichita State inching a little closer to not only 8-0 in the conference, and I know Chris Lamb won't care about either of these things because we're barely halfway through the conference, but 8-0, staying undefeated, and giving him his 400th career win at Wichita State.
Yeah, if he cares or not, that's a pretty impressive milestone. And funny that it would come against a team that he has never beaten when you consider all the different foes that he has taken down over the course of his tenure at Wichita State.
And Lamb's teams have a 76.4 winning percentage at home as well. And that one just wide. Emily Hebert misfires. The Golden Hurricane might want to savor the flavor there because that's not going to happen very often.
You do not see that very often from Emily Hebert at all. She tried to guide that one to this near side tape and didn't have much margin for error.
And Hebert heads up there. She was pretty much by herself at the net against a couple of Hurricane. Kept it off the Shocker floor. And she couldn't quite turn the trick twice as Tulsa has taken an early 2-0 lead.
Everybody looked out of sync there. Nobody getting much of anything resembling a clean swing, and Tabitha Brown with a little bit of an overpass too, trying to find Hebert.
10 ties and 4 lead changes in that first set. Tells you how close that one really was. And that'll go the way of the Shockers. Abby Lehman with a kill. And it bears repeating, Abby Lehman now over the last 2 matches plus first set of this one with a grand total of 3 attack errors. And for as many swings as she takes, you don't figure that will last, but you look back at her statistics in her career, she's hit over 400 one season when she was a sophomore, so maybe we should expect more of that.
You think, well, this shouldn't be possible, but when you consider who it's coming from, it just might be. And
yeah.
If you get the other weapons going when teams can't just focus on Lehman, it becomes all the more real.
So the Shockers get 3 in a row as Chivita gets the service ace. Shockers had 4 service aces Friday night against SMU. And a quick in the middle put away. That was impressive by Ebony Carter, senior from Rowlett, Texas. She had 6 kills on Friday.
Nice clean exchange there in the middle, and a bit of a gap between Lehman and Hebert setting up in the block. Carter takes advantage.
The Shockers take advantage of another service error. Again, that is 5 now on the match, served up by Tulsa. I would imagine if you'd ask head coach Ryan Wills a good recipe to beat Wichita State in their own building. Service errors certainly would be way down on the list. You got to be able to serve and pass a little bit better than that, but more answers for the Golden Hurricane to draw even.
Nice job by Pardo setting her up as well, who we highlighted in the open. She has been setting up multiple outside hitters so far today, 12 assists.
Saw a brief look there at Ryan Wills. Hurricane last in the NCAAs in 2012. The Shockers go back and forth once again, and there's a kill from Tabitha Brown off a couple of different Hurricanes.
There were 3 white jerseys set up down that far side line, and Tabitha still with the ball speed to sneak it by.
And maybe a little far away from the net to get the full power on that swing like we normally see from her on that exchange.
I tried to take just a little bit off, and it was Callie Cook who was set up in the middle. Nice job timing the jump and knocking that one back down. When Tabitha gets a full head of steam headed towards the net, she's almost impossible to stop.
Like that. Nice dig by Horsfall. And Hannah Shelton returns the favor. Back and forth we go here in set 2. And the Hurricane forge back in front. Shockers won that first set, 26-24. Tulsa looks like they're gonna be here a while. And the Shockers pulled away from, not that it's not possible. The Shockers pulled away from SMU in the last 2 sets, but so far it looks like Golden Hurricane got a pretty good game plan, and they're executing it pretty well. As Wichita State gonna get that point?
Who knows if the game plan was to ugly it up, but it seems like that has kind of worked for Tulsa so far. There hasn't been much flow or rhythm to this.
It's kind of unexpected, especially when you looked at the records Friday night, to see Wichita State absolutely destroy SMU Friday night. Great hustle play there by 3 Shockers. Friday night to hold SMU in the last 2 sets to just 12 points in each would probably be even more than Chris Lamb would ask for.
I don't know if he could ask for more than what he just got from Hannah Shelton. That was big time, saving a couple of points, and the full extension dive backwards. Tabitha Brown pelts it over the net, and then Hannah Shelton gets back into position again and digs out another.
Through the block, Wichita State leads by 2.
Wright got off to such a hot start in that first set. We didn't hear from her towards the end of it, but she's now 5 for 5 on swings so far today.
Season high this season in kills is 8, so she's right on track. A bit of a change up from Thorson from Tulsa, and then Tabitha Brown strikes again. So Tabitha Brown starting to heat up here in set 2.
Good job getting set up here, and Hebert with the perfect pass right into the hitting pocket for Tabitha Brown, who rifles it home.
14 assists for Emily Hebert. She had 44 Friday night. Thorson with a big swing. Emily Thorson, team's leader in kills. I mentioned she had 12 on Friday night, but wasn't a thing of beauty. Denning pointed out Memphis really made her work for it. She's averaging just about 4 kills per set.
Pretty good bloodlines for her. Mom, Christina, played professionally overseas and on the Canadian national team, which is where Emily was born.
Quick in the middle, gives the Shockers a 3-point lead as Emma Wright strikes again.
Well, definitely something to monitor right now with Emma Wright's hitting percentage.
Absolutely.
She's still at 1,000 and 6 for 6.
Shockers in this set hitting .333. Ryan Wills having a bit of an issue with the officiating. I think he thought that last kill by Emma Wright was out. But that doesn't appear he's going to win the argument, if that is indeed what he's arguing. We'll take another look. Well, he's got an argument if no Hurricane touched it.
He had about as good a look as anybody.
Sure
He's
did.
right in front of that.
Mariah Pardo with a rare ball handling error, and now the Shockers with a 4-point lead. That'll prompt Coach Wills to call a timeout. So Wichita State leading 11-7. That's their biggest lead here in the set. Back with more volleyball after this on WSU TV.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Second of 4 in a row here at the Roundhouse. Shockers winning Friday and trying to wrestle control here today. Next weekend it'll be Cincinnati and ECU coming to town. Shockers will get their first look at those two clubs on the 20th and 22nd. Back set and an attack error off the hand of Ebony Carter. Shockers leading by 5 now. Tabitha Brown to serve for Wichita State. There's a bullet by Thorson, finds the Shocker floor and breaks up the run for Wichita State.
That was a pretty good job by Pardo on a ball that was fairly tight to the net, redirecting it back into the path of the oncoming Thorson. Got herself a clean swing.
Quick in the middle, and there's that gal again, Emma Wright. She's having a coming out party here today. And don't you think that it's possible that Chris Lamb and the way he does things feels like, all right, well, let's spring Emma Wright on him this game, huh?
Threw it out there on the first point of the match and has just kind of kept riding her until Tulsa's going to do something to make an adjustment. 7 for 7.
Round set through the block. Shockers with another 5-point advantage and make it 6 with the block at the net. Playing pretty high level, Wichita State in pretty much every facet.
Hebert and Lehman again. Those two have been right in the middle of just about all of Wichita State's blocks. They've got 3 so far in the match.
Chivito, the dig on the back line. Raudsep through the block. Try it again. And that time it reached the Hurricane floor. A little bit of frustration by Taylor Horsfall, who couldn't quite keep it off the hardwood. Shockers by 7.
Speaking of frustration, Michaela had been battling through some of that so far this afternoon. That was just her first kill.
And the streak continues for the Shockers, 16-8. And we'll hear from Michaela Raudsep here in just a little bit. And the way the Shockers are going, it's going to be sooner rather than later. Wichita State with a 16-8 lead now, their biggest lead of the set. We'll see if they can finish off set 2 when we come back. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose, to shock the world.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Shockers on a little mini run, scoring the last 4, prompting another timeout by Ryan Wills. Shane Dennis, Denning Garrick here at Charles Koch Arena. Havoc in the Heartland is what they're calling this get-together between Wichita State and Tulsa. And so far, after a somewhat rugged first set, Shockers playing a little bit prettier set here in number 2. And Raudsep through the block. One of many seniors on this team, and mentioned earlier, we'll hear from Michaela Raudsep at the intermission, but she's kind of the leader of a team full of leaders.
Yeah, I think this Wichita State team kind of rallies around her, and when she's playing well, there's just a different feel to this Wichita State team.
The streak for the Shockers goes to 6 in a row, and now with a real mountain to climb for Tulsa. Golden Hurricane now trail 18-8.
You're starting to see the size differential taking effect a little bit with Lehman and Hebert continuing to team up on blocks. And there it is again.
And it's almost as if Chris Lamb allows the opposition, okay, you do what you want in the first set, and I'm just going to counter punch and make life really difficult after the first set, and that's what's happened here again.
He's playing chess, everyone else is playing checkers.
Yeah, it seems like it. And I don't think it can be undersold the job that Wichita State has done digging balls over the last at least 3 matches, because they've, as you've mentioned, a new dedication to hustling, getting on the floor, and beyond their execution offensively, that's just want to.
Yeah, it's visible. It is a complete change from earlier in the season. Not to say that the players were lazy by any means, but you watch Hannah Shelton and Georgia Chivita, the way they're going after volleyballs right now, it is impressive to watch.
Shockers now reeled off 9 in a row. It's 21-8, and probably no amount of timeouts is going to stem this tide. Wow.
Abby Lehman is putting on a clinic right now.
This has got to be, if you're Tulsa right here, this has got to feel a little bit like you're getting smothered, like you slowly but surely can't find any air.
Golden Hurricane would be happy to hit a ball over the net right now.
Absolutely. There's one.
Thorson, point Tulsa.
Shockers with an attack percentage of .474 in this particular set. For the match, still well over 300.
It's like we took the script from Friday, just erased SMU, scribbled in Tulsa, and it's the same deal.
To hold SMU on a couple of different sets to only 12 points, you'd think, what can they do for an encore? I think we're seeing the answer now.
I think we agreed on Friday that that team in sets 2, 3, and 4 isn't going to get beat by many teams in the country, and they're kind of coming out yet again this afternoon.
That'll get Tulsa to double figures, but Shockers only need 2 more to take a commanding lead in the match. Chase Jackson, freshman from Denver, getting a little bit of floor time for the Shockers, number 11. And she gets the kill.
Kind of flat-footed, but a nice job by Hebert to bump set her from way across the court, almost blindly, and still gets it into a spot where Jackson could do something with it.
Boy, that's a great point, Denning. When you're going good, going good. Get a seldom used player on a unconventional assist, and if not for a couple of errant serves, the roof of Charles Koch Arena might have come off. They have really put it to Tulsa here in the second set. Well, Chase Jackson does the honors for the last couple of points for Wichita State, and that was a thorough whooping in set number 2. Wichita State 26-24 and now 25-11 will go to the intermission flying high. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
All Wichita State through the first couple of sets, and the Shockers absolutely overwhelmed the Golden Hurricane in set 2 to take a commanding 2-0 lead over Tulsa. Shane Dennis, Denning Garrick, as Wichita State closing in on 8 in a row in the American, and a lot of veterans on this WSU club getting their first look at the American, and led by senior Michaela Raudsep from Dundee, Oregon.
I found myself in positions of leadership throughout my life, and I do think I have a natural gift, and I do think that I naturally rise to that position, if you will, without the intention of necessarily getting myself there. But throughout that whole process, I do know that my team looks to me as a leader, and I'm honored because of that. I love the role of mother hen because it allows me to build relationships and to build trust. I will compete, I will compete, I will compete, and I love it. But the second someone gets hurt, I have this switch in my head that automatically turns, that becomes this caretaker and this empathizer, and it frustrated me as a freshman. I was like, why do I care that much about these little things? But I think it's a quality that will serve me very well in the rest of my life, is realizing that there is a time for competition, but there's also a time to take care of people and to serve people and to love on people. Because at the end of the day, my life calling is not to compete. It's not to win, it's not to beat everyone. It's to build relationships. When you struggle like the blood, sweat, and tears with someone day in and day out for 20 hours a week, and you're on the road and you're studying with them and you're eating lunch with them, you know each other so well. And I know I will miss that. And I will miss the early morning waits, even though it's so hard to get up when you're exhausted. I will miss being able to go through the struggles with my team. And I will miss being able to lead a group of individuals that has one mindset and has a focus on winning, but not just winning, it's taking care of each other. At the end of the day, I know everyone has each other's back. I'm excited to go home. I'm excited to be back where I can literally get in my car and drive an hour and be at the beach, or an hour and a half and be at the mountains, and that brings me so much joy. But I know I will miss the people a ton. And I never anticipated that. And I never realized how important the people here would be for me. And as a freshman, I don't think I really realized the relationships that I was building until I look back on it. If I left today and I was asked, like, what would you want your team to remember you as? And I think I would have said a competitor, an athlete, and all of these awards or accolades. And as a freshman, that's would have been my answer. And that would have been my answer since I've ever wanted to play volleyball growing up. And I think now I'd want to be remembered as the lover of people and the servant. And I'm honored. I'm honored to be that and have that role.
Sounds an awful lot like Hannah Shelton, and in echoing her comments, she's not ready for it to end yet. Michaela Raudsep, a deep thinker for Wichita State and mother hen, and glad to do it. Shockers up 2-0. We'll be back with more on WSU TV.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Well, the hustle plays for Wichita State have really shown up Friday night and now this afternoon, Denning, and kind of at the forefront is Wichita State's ability to block at the net.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the digs on Friday, but a different kind of the defensive aspect has really emerged this afternoon, and that's Abby Lehman and Emily Hebert in the middle. Lehman has 6 blocks, Emily Hebert has 5, both of them with a chance to set new season highs if they have a big third set in that category, and it's led into the Shocker offense getting going. Here you see those two teaming up for a good swing and a kill in the middle. It has been fun to watch them all season, and this afternoon they have been at their absolute best.
And who we heard from at the intermission, Michaela Raudsep, also with a block assist, getting into the act. 3 kills and 13 total swings for her. And they've spread the wealth again offensively. Nothing new about that.
And it really all goes back to Hebert and her ability to set up different people, to also get herself involved. She continues to be very efficient. 6 kills in 7 total attacks. She's hitting .714 from a setter. That's absolutely insane. When you just look at Pardo for Tulsa, who's a very good setter on the season, she has 5 kills. And Hebert has 6 today. That tells you all you need to know about how good she is and how well-rounded she is.
The Chelsea Feakin role, kind of.
Absolutely.
Although she's not quite as tall. There you see the numbers. Wichita State held Tulsa to 0-37 in that second set, while their attack percentage of robust .545.
And this was a Tulsa team that held Memphis to an .086 hitting percentage on Friday. So for Wichita State to put up .396 against the Golden Hurricane is no small feat.
Well, the Shockers will see if they can keep Tulsa down, and the Golden Hurricane will try their best to get up off the mat. It has been a thrashing, especially in set 2. The Shockers survived a dogfight in set 1, but it was all Wichita State. 25-11 in the second. So Wichita State looking more and more like it will secure Chris Lamb's 400th career victory. We mentioned it earlier. The Shockers win over 76% of their matches here at Charles Koch Arena. And the only blemishes this year, one came against Iowa State, who's nationally ranked. Of course, the Shockers themselves ranked number 22 in the country as we stand right now. So we'll put the finishing touches on the intermission and get set for set number 3. Here's the Shockers' schedule in the near future. They'll have 2 more here on this 4-game homestand, then go to Florida, and then UConn comes to town to kick off the month of November. Kind of crazy that October's almost done, but Wichita State steaming right along, trying to stay unbeaten in the American and trying to stay just 3 times beaten on the season.
And next weekend should be fun. East Carolina and Cincinnati coming to town. A couple of teams that are tied for 3rd right now in the American.
Great one-arm dig by Horsfall. Both teams out of system here in the early going. Raudsep through the block. A little change up. The timing wasn't quite there, but Wichita State ultimately gets the point. You don't often see just a little dump over the net by Tabitha Brown, but she tried it twice in that little exchange.
I think she's getting a little bit better at it because she's recognizing that while you're taking something off, you're still trying to push it with some kind of intent. You know, you're looking for an empty part of the floor, not just popping it over into an empty area.
Wichita State got a unlikely, somewhat hero late in the second set. That was Chase Jackson. And right on cue, she comes up with a sprawling dig near the 10-foot line. About the longest rally we've seen here in this match, and a lot of people diving on the floor, but ultimately the point goes to Tulsa.
Now, Wichita State will be fine with Thorson taking swings from there all night. That was
I think so.
From well off the 10-foot line, and a sprawling effort from Mostrom. Kept it alive, but just couldn't quite get it high enough for anyone else to get a hand to it.
So a lot of action, but not many points here in the third set. Taylor Horsfall to serve, the sophomore from Houston, averaging over 5 digs per set. Emily Hebert with another point. Boy, the Shockers' attack percentage, once again, maybe it's something about home cooking, but they rarely are below 300, especially over the last month or so in this building.
And Hebert is officially on double-double alert again, 7 kills, 22 assists. Oh, and she's thrown in 5 blocks, too. Just incredible what she does night in, night out.
And Tulsa gets the point there on a big swing by Thorson. Thorson's 8th kill of the match. If at first you don't succeed, Emily's going to try again, but twice Tulsa turned her away. And Shockers benefiting from a hurricane in the net.
I think Thorson clipped the pole with that one. She has had her struggles at times this afternoon. 6 attack errors for her, and has not been able to bounce back from what was a rough Friday for her against Memphis as well. Prior to that, she had 20-plus kills in 3 of her last 4, so just a rough stretch for a very good player.
And Callie Koch with kind of a soft touch over to the Shocker side.
You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
That's a free ball that caused Wichita State some problems. It was just put right into the donut where there wasn't really a Shocker waiting for it, and everything else after that was kind of out of whack.
Tulsa takes the lead. There were only 3 lead changes in that second set, won by Wichita State 25-11. First set, there were only 4 lead changes. You just, even though in that first set we went 26-24, you never really got the feeling that Tulsa would ever go on any prolonged runs, while Wichita State did just that in the second set.
Yeah, so many of those points in that first set, it seemed like were due to Wichita State's own miscues rather than Tulsa putting together a sustained offensive rally. And then you saw in the second set when Wichita State is on their game, it's just kind of an unfair advantage.
Another good crowd on hand here this afternoon after 3,687, a season high on Friday night. But Chase Jackson making a bid for some more playing time. She's been really efficient when she's been out there. She was in there late in the second set and starts off the third on a good foot.
3 kills for her season high is 5. That was all the way back on September 2nd against Miami of Ohio.
Brown with a kill. Shockers lead it by 2. A rare clean look for her today.
Looked like it took a partial deflection off of a high hand there. I think it was Carter who was sliding over, just got a finger to it late, but it wasn't nearly enough to stop Tabitha Brown.
And Carter with the quick in the middle. The Shockers ready for that. Kill by Rachel Moore. She's been pretty good today. She had 6 kills on Friday.
Yeah, it'll be up to Moore and Hubbard and Koch to just take a little bit of the pressure off of Thorson. She's got 400 more attacks than anyone else on the team. And so if Moore can just give you a little bit, just enough to force defenses to kind of account for somebody else, that could be big for the Golden Hurricane moving forward.
Yeah, Thorson's taken 26 swings today. No Shocker has taken more than 15. And into the net it goes. That was Lindsay Ledyard. We mentioned there have been some matches this year that Ledyard has been right in the middle with a bunch of helpers, but then on others, it's basically been up to Mariah Pardo, and that would be the latter here today again.
That's 6 service errors, by the way, for Tulsa. They have not helped their own cause whenever they have been in situations where they've kind of made it fairly interesting, occasionally shooting themselves in the foot.
Jenny Whitledge in there for Wichita State. She's played briefly in the last set as well. Brief stoppage in the action as the Shockers trying to end this thing in 3 sets. Proud step off the slide. And there's Whitledge. Denning, it's one thing to be able to dig out a ball when somebody winds up and takes a big swing, but the change-up, the kind of the dumps over the net, those have got to be a little tough to prepare for as well, because you never quite know when those are coming.
Especially when it comes off of a full swing where they just don't make great contact off the fingertips or off the side of the palm, and your body has to be ready for the full velocity and at the same time make an adjustment to something other than that. Speaking of full velocity.
Yes. That almost turned into an assist for Chivita. Wichita State back in front by 1. So you got Emma Wright out there for Wichita State, Jenny Whitledge. Chase Jackson has gotten a decent amount of time here today. Wichita State's kind of imposing their will at the net. Talked about their blocking statistics during the intermission. Hard to find breathing room for Tulsa at the net. Pardo and Wichita State now leading by 3.
And if you look at just the pure roster height of who is on these respective rosters, you see that Wichita State has a pretty sizable advantage at the net. Other than Koch and Thorson, who go 6'2", there's just not a whole lot in the middle for the Golden Hurricane that can contend with Wichita State's height.
There you have it.
Yep. That's about all you need to say.
Pretty much. The Shockers, it seems like and looks like at times, know what Tulsa's going to do even before they do it. And that's scouting, obviously.
Yeah, Routsup beat her to the spot that time. She was set up seconds before the swing was even coming in that direction.
Got a timeout on the floor. Wichita State leading by 4 in what they hope is the final set. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
After a tussle in the first set, Wichita State has really imposed its will in the second. Shane and Denning here with you from the Roundhouse. Shockers, as we've mentioned, the only unbeaten in the American, and it looks like they're headed for number 8 here today.
I think the term you used earlier when you said suffocating is a great way to describe it. Just Tulsa hasn't gotten enough clean swings today to put any kind of a rally together. They've been able to hang around and kind of trade points at certain times, but I think their match high for consecutive points is 3, and it's really hard to sustain anything when you're having to battle 1 point at a time.
Wichita State in the second set had at least 9, maybe more, 9 consecutive points to run away and hide from Tulsa in that second set where they won 25-11. Hubbard to serve, the freshman from San Diego. And Routsup with a powerful right arm swing. Michaela's 4th kill of the match.
And just imagine this offense if Routsup and Brown on one afternoon or one evening happen to be clicking together in addition to what Lehman's been doing. It's a scary thought.
It really is. And Wichita State certainly was, a lot of big things were expected from them in the American. They were voted to win it. It wasn't a landslide vote, but you'd have to think with the numbers that they put up, both wins and statistics, that, pardon the pun, but shockwaves through the American and how high a level of volleyball the Shockers are playing right now, it's certainly noticeable.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this on Friday, how they were picked number 1 preseason mostly based on reputation, just because a lot of these coaches hadn't seen the Shockers in real time. And this first time going up against them, they will have opened some eyes. You wonder if maybe there was a misconception that coming from the Missouri Valley that they might have kind of a mid-major element to them. But then, like we said, you look at the roster, you look at the height, you look at the size, how physical this team is, there's nothing mid-major about them.
But if that were the case, you would think maybe they'd pick Wichita State 2nd or 3rd, I suppose, if there was a perceived slight about the Missouri Valley. But it sounds to me like the coaches that voted in the preseason got it right.
You would think, yeah.
The Shockers with a 4-point lead, and another clean swing there in the middle by Abby Lehman.
Another afternoon for her, well over 500. The hitting percentage at 583 right now.
Hebert with 27 helpers unofficially so far. Make it 28.
Doesn't look like she's going to get to the 20 that she put up on Friday, but the efficiency is still there. And I could watch Hebert and go into Lehman all day. It's effortless.
A milestone that she's creeping up on would be 1,200 career kills, but Georgia Chivita got one of her own here today. Chivita came into the match needing 10 digs to get to 500 already, and unofficially she's got 14 today.
Tabitha Brown with a howitzer there into the back row. Horsfall with another diving effort. Did get some hand to it, but not nearly enough to keep it up.
And among other things, Wichita State just seems to wear you down. There was a time where Tabitha Brown wasn't on the floor. Chase Jackson has spent some time giving some players a breather, as well as Jenny Whitledge. And it's at about this point in the Shocker matches when they really impose their will, and here we go again.
I think they take away what it is that you want to do, and then once they start playing their type of game, it is really impressive to watch.
Back with more after this.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Shockers trying to put the finishing touches here on the third set, as Wichita State in the last two sets have really had it all their way. And a familiar refrain from Friday night, Denning, is they did the same thing to SMU in the final two sets of that match.
Just absolutely took it up to a different level. And there's not many teams in the American or elsewhere that can contend with a Wichita State team playing like this.
What a huge swing from Tulsa, but again, the Shockers at the net are proving to be absolutely suffocating. And Thorson really hasn't been able to get on track all the match long, and actually that was Rachel Moore, but
7 blocks now for Abby Lehman. She gets a solo one there. And another.
Shockers have basically answered every trick in the bag for Tulsa here today. That was a 6-0 run. The Shockers were on a 9-0 run in set number 2. So the beat goes on for Wichita State. Shockers will move to 16-3, 8-0 in the league. Great dig there by Horsfall. She's been all over the floor, literally. And since this conference does not have a conference tournament, RPI comes into play here, and the Shockers seem to be okay there too.
Yeah, they got a win over number 72 SMU on Friday, and Chris Lamb has always been very vocal about scheduling in the non-conference to set yourself up where you're in a good position to receive an at-large bid if things don't go the way they want in a conference tournament. That's not an issue in the American, but nonetheless, Wichita State definitely in a good spot.
This week's NCAA RPI had the Shockers at 20, so right on track. And Denning, you know the key to a good RPI, win a bunch of your matches. The Shockers do that too.
What a little-known secret.
Yes.
I was ready for you to bust something out like get road wins,
No.
neutral site, early season tournaments. No, just win.
Win, and you know, Chris Lamb kind of dumbs it down for everybody if it's necessary too when it comes to the RPI, and he's been asked about scheduling tough and that sort of thing, but it's pretty basic. Schedule teams that you think are going to win a lot of games. Now, when his teams are really good, you get the best of both worlds because they schedule good teams and win the majority of them. So obviously that's the kicker, but he says it's very simple. We play the best teams that we can, and when we schedule in the future, we try to map out somebody that's going to win a lot of matches. So
a good example of that is IUPUI, who Wichita State has played a couple years in a row out of the Summit League, and it's a name that a lot of people would say, okay, that's a nobody. But the fact is the Jaguars win the Summit almost every single year. They're going to put up 25 wins basically every single year, and so their RPI will end up pretty good. And that, you just put enough of those on your schedule, you end up in the 20s.
And then, of course, when you beat the likes of Creighton here and there, Iowa State came here. The Shockers didn't pull that one off, but you win a couple of top 20 type matches, and you set yourself up for the postseason. But let's be frank about this. Wichita State not using any smoke or mirrors to win this match or really any of the previous 15 to this point. They're getting ready to bury the Golden Hurricane with one more. SMU gave the Shockers a tussle in set one on Friday. Tulsa did similar things today, but they both met the same fate. It was all Shockers all the time, and Chris Lamb has now won his 400th match at Wichita State. We'll come back with some more when we come back. You're watching the Shockers on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Wichita State stays unblemished in the American. They're now 8-0 and get Chris Lamb win number 400 in the process. Shane Dennis and Denny Gehrig to wrap things up here from Charles Koch Arena. More of the same for the Shockers. An impressive performance Friday. They do it again here this afternoon.
It seems like the name of the game has been adjustments from set 1 to 2, 3, and so on and so forth. This time, Wichita State was able to pull out set 1 after Tulsa gave them a real tussle to begin with, but goodness, just putting the foot down after that. This was a Wichita State team on a mission, and that hangover, maybe the emotional hangover we talked about, absolutely never materialized.
Well, beyond set one this weekend, Wichita State was almost perfect. So they go to 8-0 in the American. They'll be back in action next weekend. Cincinnati comes calling on Friday, followed by ECU. For Denning, I'm Shane. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Shockers dominate. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll talk to you next time on WSU TV.